Hey everyone, Andy here, and in this video we're going to be painting Iron Warriors. I didn't think I would be doing this tutorial, but there is a reason. If you didn't know already, Cult of Paint is owned by two people, myself and Henry, and in a nutshell, I do a video every week on Patreon and Henry does one on YouTube in general. And we tried to swap, so, Henry can do some cool stuff on Patreon sometimes and vice versa. But in general, I do stuff on Patreon. So last week I painted this amazing bust and show you how to paint a face in a larger scale. And then this week I've also done this matte Iron Warrior. I really like the look of the color plates in the new book, and I think it's the front cover of one of the books, and it just inspired me to try to see if a matte grey color scheme would work for Iron Warriors. And I absolutely loved the final results of this. I really enjoyed painting it, and it was kind of an experiment, and it came out better than I thought, to be honest. So if you want to check that out, then check out the Patreon. Yes, this is an advert. Please go on our Patreon. But anyway, Henry's on holiday right now, and I wanted to give YouTube some love. And as I enjoyed this so much, I thought, well, maybe I should try a metallic Iron Warrior to see what it's like in contrast, and kind of compare the two. We already have an amazing video on Iron Warriors. It's got a lot of views, which is really cool, and it's a great video. So I made sure I rewatched that video and tried to do something different. So in this video, I'm not going to use the airbrush, and I'm not going to use any oil paints, and I really recommend those things. They're fantastic for army painting, but I just wanted to see what I could do without these tools and kind of contrast that. And also, to be honest, it's quite hard to put out 2 videos in a week. It's quite a lot of work, and we do all the editing ourselves. And I hoped that this would be a fast one and enable me to get these videos out. And of course, they are the new hotness, being the latest release, and they are now the poster boys. So I thought this is what's going to propel the channel up to 1 million subscribers. So yeah, with the perfect plan in place, let's get painting. So I have my Mark II man. I think these are my favorite Heresy Space Marine models so far. Really like them. We're going to be painting this with Iron Warriors. Yeah. So I bet you're glad that you watched this tutorial now. I'm going to paint Iron Warriors with Iron Warriors. But I do have a good tip for you, and we're going to dilute this paint, not with water, but with these Vallejo Metal Color Series paints. Basically, these are amazing. They're really smooth. They're airbrush paints, and you can paint them on directly, and they're very diluted. They're actually a little bit too diluted, a little bit thin for my liking, and the Iron Warriors is a little bit thick. And I found mixing them together gets this amazing, really well-performing paint. And, it brushes on like a dream. And of course, you're not diluting with water. I'm diluting with this metallic paint. So, I don't know, you'll see. It just flows really well, and it dries really, really nicely. So, yeah, hopefully that's a better tip than paint your Iron Warriors with Iron Warriors. I recently painted loads of Sons of Horus as well, and the step I enjoy the least is blocking in the black after airbrushing the main color, the green. And so when it came to doing this one, I thought the big advantage I have is I'm not going to have to block in the black, and maybe what I'll do is actually leave more black sections than normal. I hope that you can see how nicely this paint is flowing on. I really do love those Metal Color Series paints, but yeah, they're just the tiniest bit too thin in my opinion with the brush. But yeah, this mix of them, for me, is a real win, and I managed to get them on in one coat and get, I think, the perfect color. So that's a huge win for me. I'm going to leave out parts like the knee pad, the bolt gun, and I left out a bunch of parts on the backpack as well. And I think, like I said, having a few more black sections than maybe I would if I'd sprayed the whole thing silver could be cooler in the end. I really like leaving the bolt guns Black, and I did a light dry brush here. I didn't do a great job of this dry brushing. I kind of rushed it a little bit and didn't get enough paint off my brush. But I did manage to get some black and kind of neaten it up. But I do like this method of just when the silver's done, a very light dry brush on the black sections, and yeah, I think it looks great. For the bronze trim, I'm using Acryl Bronze, and I really like those metallics. They're absolutely fantastic. The bronze and the light bronze, I think, are worth picking up. I think when you've got quite a simple scheme like this, then putting some work into the eye lenses can work really well. And I think the eye lenses on my matte grey version are one of the most important things. So base coat with a reasonably dark red, maybe Mephiston red or Khorne Red, whatever you've got. And what I want to do is do quite a punchy orange. I found the AK Deep Orange, it's one of their intense colours, to be one of the best oranges for doing things like this. So I mix it with the red first of all, and then just build up a highlight with that paint. And then to really get it nice and bright, I added in some Sunny Skintone, also from AK, or they do a pastel orange, which is fantastic as well. I think just having this quite bright, vibrant orange in the center of the eye, really makes the model look a bit more menacing with all those simple colors around it. When I was doing my research for the Patreon video, I really liked in the color plate how dark the yellow was, and this is great because the darker the yellow, the easier it is. If you want a really bright yellow over black, it's more challenging. And I found English Uniform, which is a color I use all the time for things like non-metallic metal gold, to be a fantastic color for this. And just by doing a darker yellow takes a bunch of problems away. And I think when it's next to black, you don't need a vibrant yellow anyway. I wanted to paint these by hand and not worry about any masking tape or anything like that. And yeah, I think just get stuck in there. My advice would be to try and do the line a little bit smaller than you think it needs to be, and then you can kind of expand it and tweak it. But with a little bit of practice, these are reasonably fast, and maybe I'll show you the whole clip here and you can see how long it took me in real time to do the hazard stripes, and it's really not that bad a job. I do like this color. You can see how smooth it's going on, and maybe I'll need to do 2 coats, but it looks pretty good even after 1. And you kind of want it to be broken up and, have battle damage and things like that, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I can make any corrections I need to do with black, but anything that's really bad, we're going to do some chipping and scratching anyway. But I really enjoyed doing this, and it makes such a difference breaking up the scheme with the yellow. And I think using this darker color just takes a lot of the pressure off trying to get a bright yellow. So I go in with black now and I make some corrections. You can see the top of that one hazard stripe is really wonky, so I will straighten that one out. And at the same time, I'll do a few scratches and chips to kind of interrupt the line and not have it perfect. And yeah, just give this a go if you're worried about freehanding some lines. It's very forgiving when you're doing a heavily weathered job like this. And I'm really happy with that color yellow as well. I think it's just right and inspired by that color plate. I did a light dry brush, just trying to catch the top edges and the rivets with some iron breaker. But this step isn't compulsory for me. If you want to, it makes a little bit of a difference, but honestly, let the metallics do the work. I think they kind of look great as they are. But yeah, a little bit of a dry brush on some of the focal areas like the arm here and the top can go a long way. It might look like I'm not being careful, but I have so little paint on the brush here, it's just subtly bringing out some of the edges. For the washes, Henry and I always recommend oil washes. We love them, and if you've watched any of our videos, you'll know it because we include them all the time. But I'm trying to do some different stuff in this video and offer alternatives, and some of my favorite acrylics are these Scale 75 artist paints. And the reason I like them so much is when you dilute them heavily, they don't split, they kind of stay together. And you can see they're so thick when you have a blob on the palette, and I can mix them with a lot of water and they're still really good to use. I also really like the tone of this burnt umber. It's a really nice kind of cold brown, good for oil stains, and I use it for things like chips all the time. But today I'm going to use it as a wash all over, where I would normally do something like a raw umber oil wash. But it's not quite as good, but it does dry way faster, and it does still look great, as you'll see. So this is heavily diluted, as you saw in the last clip, and you can kind of focus it around the rivets and things like that, or you can just wash it all over. I would say, don't flood and kind of be messy with it. When you're using an acrylic, you need to be a little bit more careful than you would with an oil wash. It works really nicely over the bronze and the silver, which makes things easy. So I'm trying to be nice and careful. I don't have a lot on the brush. I'm almost doing a thin glaze here rather than doing a really deep wash trying to flood all the recesses. But the good thing about this paint is it tarnishes the metal, makes it look nice and grungy, and it also knocks back a little bit of the sheen of the silver, but not so it's super matte. But you can see it's slightly altering the color. I think it looks really nice on the legs. And yeah, this turned out really well, and I was pleased that there was an alternative to oil washes that's really good. I also used the other scale artist paint I showed you, which is burnt Sienna umber, and this one's just a lot more orange. I like the kind of cold brown we just used. It's dried really nicely, but what I'll do now is actually concentrate this and make it a little bit like rust. So just put little bits around some of the rivets and maybe in the feet and the recesses and things like that. But basically, if you want to, have some rust sparingly, you can use this paint to just add more color and variation to the model. It looks particularly good around the rivets, especially on the hazard stripe knee. Then you've got yellow, black, silver, orange, and with a simple scheme like this, it's just nice to highlight some of those things like the rivets with this orange. I love how that looks when it's dried, and I really think that burnt umber has made the silver look fantastic as well. It's just tarnished it the right amount for me, and that little bit of extra color, I'm really happy with that. I'm going to do the base with some dark earth terrain stuff from AK, and this is nice because you can just paint it on the base with an old brush, and you can dilute it with a little bit of water to kind of get it around the feet. And you need to be a little bit careful not to make a big mess around the feet, but with water and a paintbrush, you can do a great job pretty easily. If you want, you can add a weathering powder color of your choice to the base, and that makes it look nice and dusty and matte. You can also add a little bit of this to the figure for another texture and kind of tie it to the base. And that is everything. I don't have any Iron Warriors transfers, which was really annoying because I didn't want to wait and delay this video and wait for transfers to come in the post, but add some transfers and it will look really nice. I know that Iron Warriors are one of the most simple schemes to paint, and there's also going to be loads of videos out right now because they're the new hotness, and YouTubers want to get on that and do the latest and greatest thing. But I hope you picked up a couple bits from this. I think the favorite things for me are using a metal color series paint from Vallejo to dilute a GW silver. I think that is so nice to use. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I also think the English uniform from Vallejo is awesome to paint the hazard stripes, and I think that duller ochre just really works. So that's another thing that I really liked. And finally, I thought the Scale Artist's Burnt Umber was a really nice glaze for the silver. So yeah, I kind of picked up some things as well. I hoped these things would work, but I guess they turned out better than I guessed. So that was cool. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully this shows you how simple Iron Warriors could be. I don't know. I'd really like to know your thoughts in the comments. It's kind of hard when you're just at home and you're thinking, what do people want to see? And I saw lots of comments of people wanting to see Iron Warriors, and I didn't really know why, but I'm happy to do it. So yeah, please leave your thoughts, anything you liked in this video, and yeah, if you're interested in seeing more from me, go check out the Patreon, and yeah, see what you think of that matte colour scheme for Iron Warriors. I love both. After painting the silver one, I don't know what I would do. The silver one turned out great as well, so they're just a very cool colour scheme, and I always liked Iron Warriors, but I think after painting a couple, I like them even more. They're just so good for the grimdark aesthetic and Heresy. I would do an army of these in a heartbeat, but I already have my Sons of Horus to finish, so yeah, I'll carry on with that. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. I think we've got some more Heresy content. A lot of you wanted word bearers, and I think Henry is going to be doing that for you. So I will see you in the next one.